look at myself.
Cool. We are live. Okay, so I've got 6:32. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Tiverton Recreation Commission, and as others come in, we'll add them in. To those that are in the waiting room, thank you. We'll get to you very shortly. We've actually rearranged the schedule compared to normal to try and accommodate you earlier rather than later. So. There was Chris Ronalyn, you had a question about adding an item to the agenda for discussion only. So I think this is probably before we begin, if we can probably just make sure this gets added into it. So if I say I'd like to entertain a motion to add an agenda item to it, would you mind clarifying, or you can do it, specifically what the item you wanted to cover was?
Yes, I can add that. So there's two items. The first one I think may have been taken care of, and that's there was a number of complaints from people who are down there, Fogland, about oyster traps and other marine debris that's been left on the side there. I happened to speak to the contractor that he has an oyster lease, and he said he's going to clean that area up. I think it just be noted that we spoke to him, and obviously if something isn't cleaned up, we might want to, get somebody else involved or make a motion on that. So I think that item may be taken care of just by speaking to the guy personally. The other one is if you go to the boat ramp, again, Fogland Beach, in the summer, there's no signage. The signs that the town put in are away from the boat ramp for no parking. And what you have in the summer is basically anywhere between 10 and 12 cars pack into this little area. They're not using trailers. They're not mooring people. They're just basically using the beach for free. It's we've talked about that before. So I think some sort of signage up there that says either trailer parking only or Tiverton mooring parking only, either or would be fine, or blocking the area off and telling the trailers to go into the main lot. One or the other. I think it's just a little bit of a safety hazard because guys are going with boats and they got little kids walking up and down the boat ramp.
Sorry to jump in and cut you off. Just from a procedural standpoint, we can talk about it, but we need to vote to add it to the agenda to have it as a discussion item.
Right.
So can I just entertain a motion to add item 7F? So Fogland boat ramp signage.
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion to add to our agenda tonight a discussion on Fogland issues that have come up recently.
Could I get a second on that?
I can second that.
I've got Dan as a second, Rachel with a motion. All in favor? Everybody all right with that? Okay, cool. So it is on here for discussion. Sorry, Chris, I just want to make sure we're following the proper.
Got it. Yep, I got a little too far on that. Okay.
No, it's a good topic. I'm definitely ready to dive in. So we have, it seems like everybody at the moment, we're missing, who are we missing?
All of us are here.
All of us are here. So I don't know where Councilor Perry is right at the moment. I know Chris Cotta will be, he's with a personnel board meeting and will be trying to join later on. I told him he's only allowed to use that excuse if he finds us more lifeguards. So cool. All right. So approval corrections of the April 13th minutes. Dana, can I hand that off to you?
Sure. Did everybody get the email that I sent about the April 13th minutes earlier today?
Yes.
Did anybody have any changes, suggestions, corrections?
Just a comment on this, and it actually, we'll revisit it when we get down to the potential vote of, oh, it's not listed on there, reviewing the proposal that I put forward. The folks from SALT, I had to connect with Kayla and say that she didn't have we were not able to allow her to use that facility. So just as a topic.
Right.
But not in terms of 7 minutes.
All right. So do you want to take it for a vote then?
Yeah.
All right. And I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for April 13th as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice.
All right. So as you can see on the agenda, I kind of switched things up a little bit to try and get people that might be giving reports out of here earlier. From a town farm standpoint, I believe May 17th is the day they're going to start construction. So pretty cool. The
Awesome.
Pavers has been rolling along. I just want to extend our appreciation to the town council for approving a site survey or allowing us to use the funds for a site survey. And we're all systems go. We do need more people to purchase pavers, and we're going to be ramping up fundraising, but we're excited. Rachel, do you have a question?
I do. For the procrastinators like myself, is there a deadline on ordering the pavers?
We're going to do a couple of different waves of this. I think the first deadline will be end of May will be the first one. So if you're looking to be in the first round that comes in, that would be the target. And then we'll sort of go forward beyond that at intervals. But I'd encourage people to buy one sooner rather than later.
Sounds good.
We're going to run out. So buy them quick. We only have 6,500. Awesome. Oh, cool. All right. I don't have anything from the, I haven't not heard from anything on the dog park side, but Bob, I don't know if you want to give an update. If there's anything you want to share.
They're having a meeting right now. I was just speaking at the site itself. Unfortunately, I'd rather be here than there right now anyways. But I know they're meeting. They're having a grounds opening. I believe this Saturday at noontime. The Jones family will be there and stuff like that. So we're going to have the groundbreaking on this coming Saturday. Other than that, I think everything's going pretty smooth.
Thank you. I have a litter committee on here just because I thought it would be good to open up the dialogue and let them know there's an opportunity if they want to communicate, but I did not receive an update from them.
They did get, I'm sure you're all aware of this too. They were made their own committee, their own commission. So, I mean, they had their own, I think there's 17 of us or 19 of us on that committee right now. But they, the town council did approve it, and so their own commission.
Are you guys, and Councilor Burke, you may know this, are they the largest committee in town? Point?
The litter committee?
The
Well,
dog park?
I think, oh, the dog park probably. Yes.
Like,
I think it's going to be like 3 commission members per dog, the way it's sitting down right now.
you need to commission a survey to find the dog to commission member ratio that's optimal. Wow, good stuff. It's like to see you guys moving forward. All right, so on facility use requests, the first one we have up, junior pickleball. I thought I saw Stephanie in the waiting room, but I don't see her currently. If she does come through, I'll let her back in. We have not had any requests come in so far for the tennis courts to be used. Pickleball is a sport that we're trying to encourage, obviously, as we're doing it as part of the town farm process. They're listed as a non-local nonprofit, so they're out of Barrington, but they do serve the Tiverton community. I guess at this particular point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the facility use request from Junior Pickleball of New England.
Are the courts, when the courts going to be are up and running?
Well, they're looking to use the tennis courts for right now and just modify them. So it's basically Mondays. They're looking for Mondays for a month from 5 to 7.
I mean, I'll make a motion that we grant them permission to go ahead and use the courts on the dates they requested.
They're using the town farm courts.
And I see Sophia in the waiting room, so I'm going to invite her in to explain a little bit more.
Yes, it is town farm, Chris.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we grant them permission to go ahead and use the courts on the
Hey,
dates
Stephanie, are you there? Stephanie, if you could mute your computer and just so the YouTube channel is not playing in the background of the live feed, and then if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your request.
Hi, guys. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here today. So Junior Pickleball New England, we began this year essentially out of a abundance of a lot of older adults play pickleball, a lot of parents play pickleball, and there really is no opportunity for kids to be able to play in a like-minded group amongst themselves, learning the roots, learning the proper techniques and all of that. The only way that they actually can go out there and play is with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever else it is, their neighbor that is actually playing themselves. So we started out in Barrington. We started a clinic out in Barrington, and then through that clinic, there became a lot of requests statewide, even into Connecticut, into Massachusetts, et cetera, et cetera. And so we got a lot of requests out of the Tiverton area. So we said, sure, let's reach out to Tiverton. Let's see if they'll let us come in and operate. So as you see on the application there, we want to hold a 6-week program starting over the summer. It would be 1 hour a week so we're hoping to have 2, possibly 3 sessions if we could, depending on how many requests we get for it. We'll keep with COVID guidelines, whatever they are at the summer, but just to be able to make sure that there is fun all around for everybody. There will be only 1 child allowed per we'll call it the pickleball quadrant. So since there's 4 people allowed on a pickleball court at any time, if you have 4 courts, that's 16 kids per session. So it helps with social distancing, but it also maintains that everybody's having fun all at the same time and engaged. And then we're hoping that this can grow into becoming a year-round program. So meaning we'll have the summer, we'll then go into a couple fall sessions. And then if there is a place that we can move indoor for the winter, great. If not, we'll pick back up in the spring and then continue the circus all over again.
So I do want to just clarify, you are a nonprofit, correct?
Correct. Yes, we are.
What's the ages of this group?
So ideally, we're going between ages 8 and 18. We will entertain kids as young as 7, as long as they're going to be turning 8 within one of those session years. So for example, when we start up in the fall, if one of the parents or whoever, grandparents say, my grandson is going to be turning 8 in October. Sure, great, you can absolutely start then. But the age groups that we're really seeing the real interest in is that 8 to 14, 8 to 15. So.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
Stephanie, do you have outlined COVID guidelines so far available?
We do. So if it's not on the website already, I can absolutely forward that and email that to you. But we do follow the reopening RI guidance for sports, the same guidelines that the closest guidelines that we follow is to tennis. So essentially, I mean, now we're at a point where masks are allowed. I mean, masks aren't, they're optional for players on the tennis courts. And so exactly just that. We'll keep it with, as long as we can keep parents and spectators a couple feet apart from each other. But the kids, while they're on the pickleball court, if they want to wear their mask, absolutely. If they don't want to, that's completely fine based on what the parents say.
And just to clarify, for the duration of time that you're requesting use of all of those courts, not part of them, correct? You're looking to use the whole scope of the tennis courts?
Correct. And I mean, if you have the 4 courts and you say to us, well, we don't want to give you all 4 because there might be, town people who want to just come and play during that time, then fine, we'll take 2 courts. We'll take whatever it is that you're willing to give us just to be able to grow the sport, to build the community. And, we see this as a long-term, this is not just going to be a, oh yeah, we'll just come in for the summer and then see you next summer. There really is a big interest for it. So we want to engage that interest.
Fastest growing sport in the country, if I recall.
It is. It is. During COVID last year, it grew 21%, which is huge. Yes.
Remarkable. Are there other questions for Stephanie?
So we do, before I sign off with you, we do have a set program fee, but being that we are a nonprofit, we do offer scholarships and discounts for multi-registrations. So just like I run, if you don't know me, I run a lot of sports programs in the state. So very much exactly like that. It's, you email me, you call me, you contact me and say the registration fee is just way too much, or, I'm registering 3 kids. No problem. We'll take care of you. It's not about making profits. It's get the kids out there, especially after this year that we've had, get the kids out in the open, get them playing, and just build that community.
So in light of what you said here, I mean, my take before the vote would be, I support what you're trying to do. I think pickleball, obviously, Tiverton's demonstrated a commitment to it as part of the grant we're going forward with to build dedicated pickleball courts. I would be inclined to give an approval for 3 of the 4 courts, so there remains 1 open one for the public. My experience, having spent a lot of time at Town Farm, is that likely will be sufficient, especially for the timeframes that you're asking for. But I would be a little leery of closing down the whole courts, but it doesn't sound like that's particularly a problem for you. Sounds like the 3 would still be able to get you where you're looking to go. That sound fair?
Yeah, and for some reason, if if we get a huge overwhelming number that I think we have the time slot down there for possibly running 2 sessions. If you don't mind, if I can come back to you and say, hey, you know what, we have 16 more kids that we can fit in. Do you mind if we extend it for another hour, either at the beginning or at the end, or another day during the week? But I am flexible. I will make it work however it is with you guys.
Any other questions?
No.
I think right before you had joined us, I believe it was Bob that had made a motion to accept the submission. I think, Bob, if you can make the motion, but with the stipulation for 3 of the 4 courts. Does that sound correct?
I'll make a motion that we allow them to use 3 out of the 4 courts. The dates that they requested.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
I've got a second from Dan. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? You can raise your hand. I think we can see everybody. Awesome. Stephanie, this is awesome. Best of luck to you this year, and please come back to us if you need to revisit. The only other thing that I would note is I learned the other day that Longplex will be building pickleball courts. So if you're looking for a winter location in Tiverton, might want to connect with them. So.
Okay, great. That's brand news to us. I personally use them for soccer, so that's great to know. But the kids will be thrilled. Thank you so much.
Good luck, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Courtney Roderick run for Recovery Foundation. I'm gonna let in Mike. Mike, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, awesome.
There you, sir. I will, before we dive into this, I want to apologize. Somehow your application, is because it didn't come through the initial form, didn't get to me until about a month after you'd submitted it. So my apologies for the administrative snafu on that. But glad we can connect with you here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your request?
Yeah, of course. One second. What was that? Tell us a little bit about what the request.
The request, please.
Yeah, of course. So this is the 4th year we've been running the Courtney Roderick Run for Recovery. It was started after my sister. It started in my sister's name after she passed to overdose, and so we've been running it. Last year we did it virtual. The 2 years prior we ran it in Tiverton to great success, having running a 5K. So I don't know. Currently, I've have someone with COVID and was looking to understand that it might be difficult, but we're hoping to run it in person, the 5K route, starting at Grinnell's and going around. I attached the map of it, but it goes by down Main Road up, and then what's the road there? But by Town Hall, back over there by Fort Barton. And so it would be in the morning, 2 hours or so. So that's what we're looking at.
The request for Grinnell's in particular, and I apologize, for some reason I got the front page of your request. I did not get the second piece when it came to me.
Okay.
So explain a little bit about what you're looking to do from facility use.
We don't really, not the facility, just this area, just the right. It's not even on the beach per se. It's just the in front, right along the thing there, just set up there, like the finish line. So, or the starting point.
Is it the pavilion or is it like where the dope is?
No, it's in front of it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's right in front where your emergency vehicles would show up. It's just around the curve. You know, when you're coming down and it bends to the left before you enter the beach. It's right there. It's kind of set in where the wall starts. It's right there.
Yeah. Thank you for describing
Thanks,
it.
Jim.
Exactly. Yep.
I did the detail last year, and you started there, and we made sure we had cruisers there. We had cruisers up at the top of Highland Road to make sure cars weren't interfering with the runners and so on and so forth.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Mike, it kind of, I don't know if it was my connection or your connection, but I lost where it ends. It starts at Grinnell's and it ends, is it at Town Hall or Fort
No,
Barton,
it just goes by there. It ends back at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So did I highlight the correct area that you're looking for?
That's correct. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Technology.
It's really good.
Go ahead, Bob.
Right there.
So, I noticed that in the application, I want to start at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, sir.
From 9 to 11. Grinnell's opens at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's when the gates open. And usually from 9 to 11 is prime time as far as people, going to the beach, getting to the beach and stuff like that. I think this is going to cause a problem with them setting up what they want to set up, even though it's just a little further north to the opening, but with the traffic, with the people trying to get into the beach at that time in the morning, and the people that were going to show up for the event, I think maybe either Fort Barton or the town hall might be a better solution for them, better place for them than over here at Grinnell's, because it will interfere with the beach.
Yeah, this has actually come up every year. And Ed, I'm just wondering, you mentioned that the last time the race actually ran, you guys were there with the police cruisers. Was Grinnell's Beach open that year?
Yes.
Okay, and were there any issues?
With us being there, the beaches were open and we just guided the traffic, and a lot of the traffic, I should say cars, were not parking at Grinnell's. They were parking, I shouldn't be saying this, but they were parking in the dock, I'm going to say where Primary Care is, and some there, some, not all. and then there was up off the Highland, and then up, and a lot of people walked. I understand where Bob's coming from, but I'm pretty sure that pertaining to Chief, that he'll make it happen because it's important, I know, to this town that we get everybody in the beaches. And Bob is correct that, you know, will it create a little traffic flow? I don't think so. It didn't happen last year. I shouldn't say last year, the year prior. The year prior because we didn't have it. But
And was it an earlier start? Because I feel like that was something that was
Yes, it is.
discussed in years
It was 8
prior,
o'clock.
that it was an earlier start to try to ease some of that concern.
yes,
trying
it
to
was
find the
8 o'clock
application
if
form
I'm not
from
mistaken.
before.
If I'm not mistaken, it was 8 o'clock. I don't know. I could be way off. I could be way off, but yes, Rachel, it was an earlier start.
Okay.
Last year didn't run it because of the COVID.
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
the year before that,
Yep.
I think we had them switch and they started and ended up at the town hall. If I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. It ended at the
because
town hall,
of
Bob.
the
Yep.
the problem with the traffic, people, you know, trying to enter the beach and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that we had them go up to and start at the town hall rather than at Grinnell's. I understand where you're going. I think it's a great thing you're doing. I back it 110%, believe me, but I just don't think that, especially at 9 o'clock in the morning when the beach first opens, I don't feel that it's the best thing.
So I think when we started at 8, that one year that we, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Is it Mike Roderick that's presenting right now? I know you mentioned this.
Right.
This is your sister. Are you Mike as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Mike Roderick Jr.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't addressing you with the wrong name. So, Mike, I don't remember if that ever happened or if it was a plan we put in motion that was put on pause because of COVID. But I know this has been certainly something that's gone round and round, and I agree, we want to support you. I thought at one point we were trying to do 8 a.m. because most of your 5K folks are back within about 45 minutes. So I think that the start at 8 meant that most people were done before 9 when the beach opened.
Mm-hmm.
Dana?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I went back through the notes and I did find from 2019 that we approved, it was July 25th and it was 8 a.m. to 12 noon was the request.
Okay.
And it was for that grassy area to the right, which is where you're looking for again. And then it was going to finish at Town Hall or Fort Barton is what my notes say.
yeah,
This wasn't last year, it was the year before. And then the year before that was the year that the beach was closed for renovations.
Correct.
Mike, would it be something that you and your organization are amenable to starting at 8 just to alleviate any concerns about that traffic coming into the beach with the start of the race?
Yeah, I mean, that can work. I get it. And it also could help. It could be a little cooler then too, so. Temperature wise.
And to ask another question along those lines, start and finish locations. So I remember this conversation from a couple of years ago. We were looking at kind of to piggyback a little bit off of Bob's point that if we were starting at 8 and everybody ran away from Grinnell's, we were alleviating the issue with potential parking. The year prior, it wasn't an issue because Grinnell's wasn't open. And so I guess my question here, and I remember your dad saying very passionately, he was looking to have it come back to Grinnell's at the end because you had sort of a gathering of people. I guess 3 different questions. One, have you proposed this and had it reviewed formally through the police department yet?
Not formally, no, sir.
Okay. What has been there, and I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of the police department, but have they provided you with any guidance that you can share for things that you want, that they suggested you adjust in your plan?
I haven't heard any specific changes or guidance, specifically with the ARP.
And so also with this, because you'd be looking, I would assume, to shut down Main Road for a period of time, have you received approval to do that?
I have not yet. I've been I'll admit I've been going off the previous years, assuming we could get that. I was taking this step first, and then we were going to go from there. So.
Understood. Understood. And then my last question, and I promise I'll stop pestering you.
No, it's all good.
If would you be potentially amenable to saying start at Grinnell's at 8 o'clock and having a different finish location? Because I think Bob's comment about Grinnell's getting very busy in July at that period of time, that would be probably my biggest concern. I personally think this event, I agree with everybody else. It's a good event. It's a good cause. I want to support you guys. I also just want to make sure that we're not creating an unintended, cluster of people.
Yeah, I think we started at Town Hall and we finish at Town Hall, or we start at Grinnell's and just finish at Grinnell's, that loop. We're still going to use either way. We're going to be running that way. We really don't want to change that. I would say we would prefer the Grinnell's start and finish at 8, but if we can't, then we'll do Town Hall. So.
And again, Ed had mentioned that the last time he tended to the race, it was when Grinnell's was open and there were no significant issues, but I am pretty sure it was an earlier start time. I know the one year that we had you guys start up at Town Hall, it was a physical feat to get the racers up to the top of that.
There was that.
So I remember that there was really there was sort of a significant downside to that. Not everybody running the 5K is going to run it in 18 minutes. So for those folks who are doing it for the charity part of it, starting by walking that giant hill was not ideal. I feel like Chris may have been there for that particular one. Were you there at that one, Chris?
No.
No, okay. For some reason, I thought you were at one of these. I'm probably less concerned if we can get you to start at 8. The overwhelming majority of all your racers, so the start time would be 8 a.m. for the start of the race. The overwhelming majority of them would cross that finish line probably by 8:45. You wouldn't have many more pedestrians on the road. And if you're over to that other side, I think we could get the traffic in and out of the beach okay.
Yeah, because kind of speaking of that, as the race goes, and it's just a 5K, so it's not as long. The road we're gonna leave a section of the road, so then it opens up and it goes, it opens up through as they go through the race. So it's not like we're shutting down all those roads the whole time.
Yeah, I think that if it starts earlier, the 8 o'clock instead of the 9 o'clock, I think it would be much more doable on our end of it. For the town people to be able to get to the beach, because and the police will be there to get the traffic in and out and get things moving. As long as those two things happen, I think it would be perfect.
Mike, if I may, Mike, if I may make a suggestion, why don't you contact Lieutenant Dan Raymond?
Okay, yeah,
and run this by him.
Of course, yep.
Even show him what you want to do.
Yep.
And he'll present it to either the deputy chief or the chief himself, because he's the one that will implement this during the daytime with the chief's approval, of course, and so on and so forth. But if you need a contact Lieutenant Raymond.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just took down that note. We'll get on that.
Okay.
Okay. And keeping in mind the timeline of events, we're at our May meeting, and so I would be reluctant not to make a motion on this tonight. I'd like to be able to get you some resolution. There's more steps you need to do, and if we were to wait until June to make a decision, that's not a lot of time for you guys to advertise and prepare for it. I'm inclined to make a motion that would be contingent upon getting the approval and working out those finer details with the police department. But I don't know if there's any more discussion with the committee members.
Stu, does this need to go before the town council too?
It is considered an event, so I believe so. Councilor Burke, I'm seeing you nod on that. Yep. So I would tend to agree with Rachel on it. Just something that I was going to say, just from a recreation committee standpoint. So our scope of influence pertains to Grinnell's. It does not pertain to the other elements of what happens with the police, although I would share Rachel's view on this. Question for us is, can we, for that particular day, adjust the hours on the beach to perhaps open it a little bit earlier, rather than, I'm thinking about an additional resource for parking if people wanted it. So maybe shift for gate attendance on that one particular day, put them on a little bit earlier. I would imagine we're getting some people from out of town. The one question I did have is, do we have any anticipated numbers, Mike, on what you're looking at for attendance or anticipating?
We don't. I mean, it's going to be hard to say how. I mean, we hope we've gotten 100 runners or so in the past, but I think it's obviously we can't say for sure. I guess we hope for 100 runners, but I don't know. In this environment, I don't know how it's gonna. To be honest, who's gonna actually come out and show? Because we're offering virtual too. We want to do it in person, and we hope we can get there, but I can't say for sure how much.
Yeah. Stu, I hear your thought on opening the beach earlier, but I was actually thinking of almost the exact opposite. Get the runners in and out of the way before we open the gate to the traffic from the cars. If the gate is closed, we don't have to worry about the parking spots being taken by, potentially by the race participants. And in years past, I know you guys were really good about not parking in the Grinnells to leave that open for the beachgoers. But I think if we get you guys all there with a race time start of 8, you're probably really assembling closer to 7:30. Starts at 8, off you go. You're back, and by 9 o'clock, there's little to no runners on that circuit, and we can, I think, safely open the gates at that point. You might still be, I don't know if you do awards or anything, you might be off to the side a little bit, but I think the race coming and going and then opening up to the beach would be safer.
I agree.
I agree with
Makes
Rachel.
sense, yeah.
I agree.
Can you provide us with a COVID plan as we get closer to that? Can we just work with you guys on that piece? You have one? Any guidance that you may have or that you're looking at for recommendations you're giving to runners?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you guys would like to be provided that? Is that what you're asking?
Please, yeah. So it's an event. You're gonna have to go in front of the town council with everything else that we've done, including with the soccer tournament just approved. One of the things we had to have was a COVID plan, and so there are a lot of guidelines out there.
Yeah, I came across a couple looking at the Newport Marathon in particular. So,
any other questions?
I get. So you were saying. So what timeline wise? What it needs to go in front of the town council? That's correct.
Yeah. So we will vote on this in probably, it sounds like in just a second. If it is approved as an outcome of that vote, then what you're going to want to do is, I would say, get some review, a formal review from the police department. You don't need to wait on a timeline for that, but connect with them. You can submit to be added to the town council agenda. They met last night, so their next meeting is in 2 weeks. So it's a week from next
24th.
Monday.
The 24th.
But the deadline for submissions is, I believe, the Monday prior, is what it says on the form, Mike.
Yeah, it needs to be in by the close of business on Monday, so next Monday.
Okay.
17th.
Yep, the 17th, yep.
So
And the form's right on the town website.
Okay. Thank you.
So, and you can do other things. I would just say get yourself on the agenda
Yeah.
and then follow up with the backup stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
So are you okay with us starting it at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m.? Mike? Would you be okay with starting the event at 8 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, we just want to hope to get it in person again. So of course.
Okay.
It'll be cooler. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think there's merit there for sure.
All right, so Rachel, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. Give me a second to gather all of this. So I'd like to make a motion to allow the Courtney Roderick Run for Recovery Foundation hold their annual 5K Run Walk for Recovery at Grinnell's with the event date of 7/24 and the alternate date of 7/25 with a race start time of 8 a.m. And you probably need a little time ahead of that to set up. So is, 7 a.m. setup, 8 a.m. race start to 10 a.m. pending town council approval and working out any necessary concerns and details with the police department and submitting a COVID plan. That's a long
Wow.
motion. I'm sorry.
Good job.
I'll second that one.
Aye.
I think we got the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Cool. Mike, I'll send you a letter as well as also include the form that you need to use for the town council and where to send it afterwards. So kind of blueprint it. Appreciate you guys continuing to run this great event and look forward to seeing people out on the road. So
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we're
Good luck,
looking
Mike.
forward. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck, Mike.
Look,
Thanks.
bye. Let's make a note of what we just approved for next year so we have it.
Well, this has been the craziest thing because the first year the beach was closed, then they had it, then it went virtual, and now here we are. But I agree, every year it seems to be a huge discussion about this.
Well, and I think
But it was earlier. It was at 8.
Yeah, the requests are a little bit different too. They were looking for the whole parking lot, I think, the first year the beach was open. And so, but it's a great event and I'm glad we can support it. The last request we have is from East Bay Field Hockey. We had approved them for field use before at the Cassett. And so they're looking to do an extension. Their first date on this is May 12th. And I told them that I was not giving them any heads up one way or another until this particular meeting. So they're obviously chomping at the bit. There is no conflict with any of the fields at the Cassett. Little League has a field use there, but there's nothing else that would potentially conflict with them at this particular the dates they're asking for. And they've been good partners so far. So, any questions, thoughts?
Well, if everything is in place and the field is open, I make a motion that we approve this. As long as all the field is open for them for their field hockey.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Go team. It was fun. Okay. There was nobody who contacted for public comment, so that's good. Rachel, anything from a treasurer's report standpoint?
Yes, and I'm sorry I emailed it to you at the last moment. I don't know if you want to pull that up. There was only one very small transaction through our accounts in the past month, so I'm trying to do a month to month. There was a small debit for some trash bags and cleaning supplies. Bear with me. Let me get that. Stu, great, thank you. I should print it next time. So it was $23.75 to Land Tech Maintenance. That was the only account activity. I want to use this format going forward so we can see what the budget is and the balance remaining in each of those 4 accounts for us. So the only account that had a small change is that Town Beach Miscellaneous Operating Supply. But I am keeping some notes at the bottom that I think are worth keeping in mind when we review the reports. We have not had to have a recreation coordinator payroll since January 14th. The Town Beach seasonal employee account still remains very low. Stu, I believe we do need to put it to a motion to vote to move the funds. And I think we still have time. Can you add that to the agenda for early June, for our June meeting? And at that point, I'll be making a motion to move some funds from the recreation director account over to the Town Beach seasonal employees to get them a better starting point for June.
Yep.
And then lastly, supplies for the Fogland picnic tables have not yet posted to the account according to the treasurer. And they were just questioning if we wanted that to be under beaches versus the miscellaneous account. I'm not sure what else we have for either one of those, but I'm inclined to have them put that in the Town Beach miscellaneous supplies.
Yeah, there's another expense for some stuff that DPW picked up for Grinnell's. It's a really, really nominal invoice that I just need to code. I'll give you that invoice, Rachel, as well. I mean, it's like less than $30 or something.
Okay. That's not the $23.75. I think that's in addition to.
I don't believe it's the same number. I'll double check.
Okay. again, nominal, and you can see where the rest of the account balances are at this point. Any questions?
Good. You could make money just pop out of trees. That'd be cool too.
In many ways, that would, yes.
Stu, I know this is gonna have to go on new business because it can't be discussed as we speak, but what in God's creation are we gonna be doing with this men's and ladies' room down at Fogland? If we're not gonna repair it or update it, eliminate it, or that these porta john things is just ugh.
So Ed, if I can ask, can we just, I'm fine with talking about the same thing with what Chris mentioned before. Can we just make a motion to put,
Next
I'll
meeting.
make a motion to add item 7G for discussion, Fogland
Yep.
bathrooms.
That's fine.
Can I get a second on that? Rachel seconds, all in favor? Just as, so everybody knows, when we add these things, I have to submit an amended agenda to the Secretary of State's website afterwards.
Yep.
Which is why we just need to track it. So I'm good with adding anything for discussion. We just can't vote on things.
Correct.
All right. Cool. So next item on the agenda is food trucks. So this is a follow-up to the conversation we had before. Of course, I just lost my paperwork here. And what it is it was kind of taking what Chris had very kindly put together as a proposal and what we had voted on from our pricing structure, and then putting an application behind it. This is, I will tell you, based off of what Providence does. I did circulate it to a couple of people that are in the space just to get feedback, and nobody had any objections to what we were proposing for a price standpoint. And nobody had any issues really with what was listed in here for what the requirements are. Chris had taken a look at it, I believe. I think I took a look at it, circulated it to everybody here. Just from a discussion standpoint, was there any feedback that anybody had on this?
Oh, this looks awesome.
So,
Stu,
yep.
yes,
Hi, Rick.
thank you, Stu. On that application, I did note that it said the food trucks had to have their own, garbage bins. Does it stipulate, because I do not remember, I just thought of it, does it stipulate that they must take the garbage with them?
Yes. So item 10 under terms and conditions says, vendors must provide trash receptacles for waste generated by their booth and remove all operational waste from the premises upon departure. Improper trash disposal is grounds from exclusion for participation in future events.
Thank you, Stu.
Trying to make life easier for you, Rick.
Appreciate it.
Not always, just right here. So, I think this is one of those things we're kind of laying the foundation for this year. We're not going to have a ton of food trucks. There's a limited number of spaces. One of the things that we talked about before was, did we want to try and include Town Farm? And I think, Chris, you rightfully pointed out, like, we don't want to compete with the Little League and those guys. Right. I've spoken to Little League and soccer and said, it's worth you talking to the food trucks about operations during your time. If there's an opportunity to collaborate and help, ease some of your burden, but generate revenue for your leagues as well through a sharing, let's revisit that. But I think if nobody has any issues here and we vote on it, it would go in front of the town council to get approved. So it would go into effect if they don't have any objections mid-June, somewhere in there, I think. So far so good?
Good. Yep.
Can I entertain a motion to accept the food truck application and fee structure as proposed?
I second that, Stu.
Okay. I'll make the motion. Ed seconds. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Cool. Great. For the win. To show how tired I was when I was writing this, I wrote discussion and potential vote. Didn't quite specify what that was. So we'll leave it as just a discussion point on here. Putting the proposal for modification to our approval process, we can pick this one up next time, but what I was suggesting is after our experience with SALT, we had a for-profit entity coming forward to look at using town facilities. We're really dealing more with scheduling. That discussion should happen at town council level. So because it's not listed properly on the agenda, I'm going to table that or wait until the next time. But that was the impetus behind it on my end, and I apologize for not pulling out the sentence. All right. Bob Sodoma, you asked me to add this onto this. I'm glad you did. Discussion, adopt a picnic table program.
Well, actually, well, first, before I get to that, I just want to say, I want to thank everybody that came out and helped. We built all the picnic tables down at Fogland. The guy that really stepped up to the plate was Joe Perry. You know, he allowed us to use his yard to cut up the material. Joe painted all of the, prime gave the first coat to all the wood. We used the truck. He was there every time, along with Dana and Ed, myself, my son-in-law, Stu, CJ, my grandchildren, Bill Vieira showed up one time. So it was a very, very successful project. And Dana has what I think is a great idea, and I'll let her explain it because it was her idea, and I don't want to take credit for this one.
No, that's okay. You can do it.
No, go ahead. It was yours.
Right.
It was yours.
Okay.
You deserved it.
While Stu and I were painting, and we came across names on the table, we were goofing around saying we should have, was it Travis? Was not the name? Hunter. It was Hunter. We should have Hunter adopt the table, seeing as he carved his name into it. So we were just kind of spitballing, and we were thinking about it, and then just kind of grew and grew about how about if we had groups within the town, not businesses, adopt a table and paint it like something colorful and bright, and could have a design on it, whatever. We were thinking maybe the school's PTOs, or even DPW, Rick Rogers, get your paintbrush and design team ready, or anybody at town hall, or the art association, obviously the library, anything like along that lines, other committees like the litter committee, and they could adopt a table and paint it. And that maybe when people are wrecking the tables, before they do, they'll look at it and be like, oh, I feel so bad, and I don't want it, it's so beautiful, I don't want to wreck it. Or maybe people that were involved in that group will be seeing somebody doing something that's not caring for the tables, and they would be like, hey, that's our table, don't do that. So I just think it would be a great idea to get people involved and passionate about, and just be like works of art. I mean, I can't paint anything pretty, but somebody can. And I think it would be something that people would want to go down there and check them out. And I think it would be fun.
Isn't Joe Perry going to be sad because he painted all those colors?
No, me and Danny are going to be sad. No, we're fine with it.
It's a great idea though. You could actually have them sign their name on the corner, adopted by.
Hey, if it's a school, they could paint their name on the school. I mean, of course, I think, it would have to have some guidelines on what they can't paint, but I would hope that everybody would keep it clean and family friendly.
Do we repaint it every year?
Depends on how good. Yeah, we could make like a contest out of it at some point. I mean, not this year, but
good way to get a free paint job.
Yeah, I think it would be fun.
Yeah. Dana, I wonder if that could even follow suit up near the high school. They paint that sort of triangle there where Brayton crosses over to 177, mm-hmm. and every year it gets a new tiger face, which is beautiful.
Well, they did with that. They actually started putting up a plaque there. That's actually, they used to paint the triangle now, and they would have all the seniors paint their names down along the sidewalk with the paw prints. But yeah, something along that line. I mean, we could get students from the high school art department, or they don't even have to be in the art department, but I just think it would be so interesting and fun and creative.
I think it's
great
a
idea. Great idea.
I think it's a community effort. Community get involved. I think they would probably watch over the tables a little bit better. a little more, knowing that, hey, that's my table. We painted that, whatever. I think, I don't know. And before I forget, and I did forget, I also have to thank DPW and Mr. Rogers for everything they did for helping us with the table. Without DPW and Mr. Rogers, we wouldn't be where we are today.
That's true. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you, Bob and Dana, for the compliments. And Mr. Rogers did very little, but the crew did. So I do appreciate, and I will pass on the thank yous to them. Thank you.
I thanked all the guys today, Bob. Rick, I thanked all the guys today. You had them all on Hayden Ave, and I was on Dewey.
Okay. Hey, Rick, do you
Thank
know
you, Ed.
off the top of your head, do you have any more polls?
What kind of polls, Bob? Big polls?
Telephone polls, because there were 2 tables that we took the poles out because they were decayed and rotted, and we'd like to know if you had maybe 2 more sets of poles you could put down. That would be fantastic. If not, we can do what we have for now. But if you happen to have 2 more poles or 2 more sets, we could use them if you could install them, if you have them.
Right. I think we do, Bob. I will look into that, and then I'll coordinate with either you, Bob, or Joe on where you would like those. And speaking of that, are the rocks okay to put back on the marsh side?
No, I think we're going to keep that open.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but you guys are done as far as volunteer access. Is that correct?
You're talking about that road that goes down to the.
I'm going to leave that open.
Yeah, we're going to leave that open, Rick.
Yeah, I think I talked to Chris too, Chris Carter. I believe we're going to leave that open. And I think we're going to leave that open this year. We closed it last year because of the COVID, but there's a lot of the restrictions and stuff, and we're afraid. Well, I'm afraid if we keep that road closed, we're going to end up losing it with the brush growing over it and stuff like that. People just have to use a little bit of common sense. We did put 3 tables down there. We built the 3 tables that are down there. It's a very small area. But I'm in favor of keeping that road open and accessible to the public.
Thank you, Bob, for the info, and Ed and Chris. Certainly, DPW has no objection to leaving it open as long as that's what Town Hall says to do. So thank you.
Yeah, I can get a hold of Chris tomorrow, and go pass it by him one more time, and then maybe he can get he'll get a hold of you and let you know. But from talking to Chris last week or the week, well, maybe a couple of weeks ago, talking to Chris about it, and he agreed that he wanted to keep it open. It'd be a good idea to keep it open. But I'll get a hold of him tomorrow and have him call you.
Sure, and I of course occasionally talk and communicate with Chris also. So if you do, that's fine. If not, I'll be chatting with him at some point anyways. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Rick.
So as it relates to the picnic tables, what are our next steps from here? I don't think there's anything actionable to vote on because we're not looking for approval from people to do something. It's already in our scope. I guess the question is, who is taking on developing what the guidelines are for us to review, and who is going to potentially consider or come up with what the list of people and organizations to reach out to are?
I'd like to be involved, and whoever wants to get on board. And
yeah, we can do that.
Would be great.
Yeah. Cool. So Bob and
Bob?
Dan, if you want to run with it, I think we all can chime in and add stuff to it. But if you don't mind picking it up and moving forward with it for now, I love the idea. I think it's super cool. So
all right. So Bob and I will work on like a rough draft of it in some groups, and then we'll pass it along and see who anybody else wants to add to it. Yeah. And we'll try to get their emails off the town website or from the school department. Isn't your wife like the head of a PTO too, Stu?
Yeah.
Just saying.
If I volunteer her for something in a public meeting, I probably should move into my garage. So
No, but you can just pass me your email.
I can do that. I have this mental image of like Bob adopting a table and then sitting across in the weeds with binoculars, like watching his table. Anyway, cool. Oh, Chris thought it was joining. Cool. Well, yeah, if you guys don't mind just sort of giving an update next meeting on that, I think it's a great idea. Love it.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey, Chris is on now. We can ask him about that road.
Give the guy all of 30 seconds to get into the meeting. Carter, how are you?
What road?
The
Welcome.
small road that goes down to the back to that little gut like. Remember we closed the road up last year because of COVID, but we spoke a couple of weeks ago. We had DPW remove those rocks so we can get back there.
Picnic, where the picnic tables were?
Hmm?
Where we
Yes.
did the picnic tables?
Yes,
So we're gonna close that back up again?
we're gonna keep that open, correct?
No, we're gonna close it.
You're gonna close it.
Yeah, Rick was gonna reclose it after we're done with the picnic tables.
I
Should
thought
leave it open.
leave it open because the COVID restrictions were lifted and we don't want to lose that road. If we
I don't, maybe I don't know what road you're talking
brush
about
is gonna
then.
grow and we're gonna end up losing that road. We're gonna end up losing that.
So I'm not familiar with the road then, because I thought it was the,
When you're going into Fogland,
yep,
it'll be the first one. It's a little tiny road. Keep going up, still.
It's right across from the playground, isn't it?
It's sort of kind of like where the bathrooms are. And it's a little right here. This one right right there. It goes
That's it.
down that road right over. You see my mouse right here?
No, it's
No.
up there
No.
where the loop is.
No, it's not
No.
that
Not
one,
that
Bob.
one. It's down this
It's
Right.
where
way.
the loop is. Right where the
Right where
loop.
the loop is.
Yeah,
It's,
Where the
Right
old
there.
playground and stuff used to be. This one right here.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
right
road.
there. Right. Yep. Right there. That's one. That's the one.
so I didn't realize that was a road in there. I just thought that was always closed.
No,
That used to be the
No.
main
it's always
road.
been a road. It
The
would only
playground
close last
used to
year.
be in there when I was a kid.
Yeah. No, it
Well,
just
in your
closed
defense,
last
it's
year.
more like a path.
Yeah, I thought we just opened up to put picnic tables in there. That's.
Yeah, and there's 3 picnic tables down. 3 or 4, Dana.
I think there's 3. It was always
Three down
open
there,
until
yeah.
last year.
I don't know. We built
Right.
so many tables. I
So
lost count.
the only road I closed last year was at the very end of Fogland on Three Rod Way. We closed that up so that the windsurfers weren't using that beachhead area because we couldn't control it, but then we ultimately did open it. So
Right.
that's why I was confused as to, I don't recall us blocking that off where you're talking about now last year.
It
Yeah,
was.
Unless that was already
It was,
closed.
yeah.
If I may, this is Rick. If I may clarify, down at Fogland last year, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but just to refresh everybody's memory, DPW did 4 things. One was they closed off the Marsh side road, of which we're discussing now. We put a couple of boulders there. That's right across from the bathhouse.
Correct.
The second of 4 things was that we did a lot of stakes and rope and bunting to close off various parking areas on the
Correct.
beach on the riverside. The third of 4 was the old boat ramp that's next to where Wilcox Hot and Three Rod Way go off to the sort of the northeast. We
Mhm.
closed off that old boat ramp. It was public access by walking, but we closed off the driving capability. And the
Right.
fourth of 4 was at the end of the private area where Hart and Wilcox, etc. are.
Yep.
There, we closed that off, but eventually at some point in the summer, that was opened back up again. But numbers 1 and 3 have been closed since then. The beach parking was opened up, and last summer also the end where the windsurfers for lack of a better term,
Yep.
where the where that harbor is.
Yep.
So I think that we want to open that the way back to the marsh up, and I think you probably should think about opening up the other parking too. That's down the far end that was closed because you can get 4 or 5 cars down there.
So, is there any major red flag as to why we should close it? I mean, it seems like it's been open before. It was closed due to COVID. I'm not. Is there any issue with us leaving it open?
I don't have any issue with leaving it open. I just, and we're not gonna put up ropes and bunting. We're not gonna restrict parking this year at all.
No.
So I don't have any issue with it. I just thought it was always closed. I didn't realize it wasn't, I don't remember doing that. I do remember we closed off Three Rod Way to stop.
I can imagine it was closed just because you couldn't patrol back there, so they probably just said, let's just close it.
Right.
It may have been, maybe it was done and I just didn't know.
Yeah. So I would, if you're going down there to move those, I would move it there and I'd move it down the other area too. It used to be the fishing area because we had a sign that was like fishing only. So that pushes the fishermen down towards the far end of the beach. So both of those would open up, probably 8 to 10 cars for us on a busy day.
Okay.
The one thing I would add is what I call number 3, the old boat ramp. I mean, that's from a long time ago. The one right across from where Three Rod Way veers off towards the windsurfers. That was also closed off due to concerns of besides COVID,
Dumping.
it was dumping, and there's private property on both sides of that, and there was a lot of taking advantage of the situation. So it was opened up as far as anybody walking, but the driving was blocked off. It's not used as a boat ramp anymore. It was simply a parking area, and it was being abused. So that was another reason for it. Not that we can't open it up again. That's up to town hall, but that's some of the background.
So while we have Mike Burke here, I do know that the Beaners were very interested in swapping that land of the end of Three Rod Way to their piece of property.
Who?
The Beaners, they live in that neighborhood down at the end of Fogland Beach. They live that house right there.
So they wanted to swap this?
They want to swap this here. I can't, right
So
here.
they own this piece of land right here,
Yeah.
and the town owns this piece of land. And so the Beanas, because
The
their
Beaners
property,
also own this here. So they want this piece to be contiguous with theirs and move our piece down here. My issue is Three Rod Way has some historic nature to it. It's, it is what it is. It's a rod way, but I don't know if the town would entertain doing that. I know there were members of the last council when I approached it that they weren't at all enamored with that, but it seems like we would be making their property worth a lot more, and I don't know if it makes it any more valuable, but it's, they just want to keep people out of this area.
So they want to move the boat ramp towards the beach entrance.
Right.
Yeah, there's no value for the town to do that because that other lot they can't do anything with anyway. And I will say this, I've been down here for over 20 years and I've used that to launch a boat numerous times. It used to be a fairly active boat ramp. Because when the current boat ramp is almost unusable at any low tide. It's in really poor condition. And you can launch there. I know the fire department's launched from there before too. If they've had an emergency issue, they've been able to put a boat in there. Now they keep it at Standish. But years ago, they used to launch down there for bringing people in. So it is a deep water place to bring a rescue vehicle in, if need be, because the water right in front of there, you can't tell, but it was at some point dug out. There's no rocks there. It's actually the deepest spot on the whole coast.
Yeah, that would be my only concern, is whether or not it's going to affect the ability, if we shift it, if it's going to make it a less usable boat ramp.
It would, yeah, you wouldn't be able, because the area in front over on the right side of that is all rocks in there.
So right now it's not usable at all, Mike, because we cordoned it off. It was nothing but trash in there like sinks and just all kinds of, just debris.
In the
So-
yellow area.
Yep, the yellow area. So we did cordon that off last year to stop people from going in there and just dumping trash. But it was also had a lot to do with COVID too, because we didn't have anybody down there to monitor it.
Right.
Ideally, if we can get a camera down in this area at some point, it would be ideal to reopen that.
Mm-hmm.
But my issue was really making their property much bigger, and would it ever be developable if, it would be more beneficial to them than it would be to us. But
Right.
This whole thing, I think, is somewhat, with being a Rod Way, I don't know if the town would ever want to give it up.
Yeah, there's no really incentive to give it up.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was a boat ramp. I had no idea.
Yeah, that was the boat ramp. In fact, it's funny because when the boat ramp over the main one gets busy, people were, up until last year, there was not a lot of people, but there was at least 3 or 4 people launching over there forever on a Saturday, busy Saturday. Especially when you're talking like, the smaller boats, catamarans, small sailboats, they all launch off the beach down there.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, I do know cordoning that off did quiet the Beaners down quite a bit, because they were very concerned about the trash getting in there.
And
so we did a little piece of keeping the neighborhood quiet, but it didn't, I believe they still want to buy it.
Chris, am I highlighting the right space? There's another spot sort of like right to the right of it that there's a car in. I just want to make sure I highlighted the right area. I know it's one of these two.
Yeah,
so the Beaners own this here. That's exactly what they own. This is all our beach from here down. We own everything to the south of that. To the south of it.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's worth, in fairness to the Beaners, at least having the conversation a little and getting the info and then putting it forward, because they came in front of us and asked the question about it. And
I just want Mike to be aware of it, because they may contact him. Now there's a new member of the council, so.
Yeah, I mean, and the other piece is that, I assume they understand that even in front of their current property, people can access it up to the mean high tide.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
I don't like that, but yeah, and it does get used.
Yeah, it does. I've seen people down there fishing and the like, or just walking.
So they get upset because they travel through this part of it. They don't travel down here where they should be.
Right.
So it's, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not.
No.
No.
That's why I said, I can see my cursor.
whatever works for you, Chris.
Yeah. But I think it's important everybody understand it is a public beach and it's part of the town, and that has been a traditional access for people that have lived here for a long time, that they go in there and fish. So I agree there was definitely garbage, but that's something that can be controlled.
Mhm.
But that's a traditional place. Guys have used that for fishing, for launching boats. And a lot of guys were upset last year. If you saw that, what I would call the old school fishermen, which are town residents that go down there every night to look for bluefish. That was like their favorite spot to go. So all you do is you push the trash and any of that parking down towards the regular beach, which doesn't really do us as recreation any good, because you're taking up spaces that, bathers or sunbathers, would be using. So the fishing was supposed to be kind of from where that white car is.
Yep.
To the west.
Okay.
There was a sign there originally that was fishing only. And that was like, and it's also because you don't want to necessarily have people fishing on the main beach because of hooks and whatnot, getting in the sand. So that was set up years ago. So I think it's kind of an important part to keep open for recreation and for, people who have lived in the town for years, as long as we can address the, the garbage and the concerns of the neighbors there. But it is a public beach. They're right on a public beach. You get the same issue on the other side where the boat ramp is, neighbors have moved in there that are, there's activity there. There's people launching boats to public boat ramp,
Well, part of it is you know what you're buying when you buy it, and
Yep. We live down this area. We have people walking in the backyard. I have no problem with that. It's public beach. It's part of what makes Rhode Island special. You can't have this off limit thing like you have in other states.
I'd like to get all that fishing gear cleaned up around that ramp down there.
Hey, that's on item number 7.
F.
Or F.
We added it to the agenda, Chris, for discussion. So it's on.
So I have one quick question, not knowing, because Chris, you seem to suggest there's a significance to a road that's called a Rodway?
Yeah, I don't know what the significance is, other than that they are somewhat historic being at Rodways. There's 8
Okay.
Rodway, 3 Rodway, 2 Rodway. There's a
And-
bunch
and
of them
actually-
down.
It goes right to from the water all the way across.
Yep.
So it's actually,
No.
goes into the water as part of the road.
Okay.
That's part of where the old ferry used to be. They went across.
Oh, okay.
The ferry went across to Glen Farm area,
Okay.
and that was the way to get over before there was a bridge.
Got it.
That was the
Thanks.
launch.
So it might be something we put before the start at the,
Isn't there
Historical-
boulders right
our
across the
historical
road right now,
preservation people.
blocking it off right in that area?
excuse me?
Aren't there some boulders there blocking that
We
off?
did
right
block
now?
it off last year.
Yeah, and that's what we have, Ed, that's what we have on the
I
agenda.
might have
We're
missed some of
moving
it.
the boulders
I
there.
gotta step out of the room for a minute. I might have missed a little bit of the conversation.
We
We want to move the boulders from there also,
Okay.
if it works, you know.
So
Keeping it clean
I
and all
will
that,
just say
but
that
other
when we
than
move the
that, still-
boulders, we will be hearing from the Venus.
Mhm.
So they will be a little upset if we move those boulders, which is fine. I mean,
That's okay.
I mean, yeah, like for us, it's a public beach. I think, the Recreation Commission, we should work on ways to keep that clean. And I think with the patrolling and a lot of things that we've been doing the last 2 summers, that we can probably keep a handle on it.
okay.
Yeah, there's also the same people that did the Grinnell's beach security system and then the one that Town Farm got approved. Chief Jones and I asked them to put together a proposal for a security system down at Fogland, which they have done. And I will circulate that later. I don't know that Recreation's looking to have it commit through our budget per se, but it is something that, I'm trying to figure out what would it have cost to take a look at.
Right.
So,
Well, it's another town asset and we should have eyes on it. So,
well, and you look at the people, we talked about picnic tables earlier, Chris, before you came on, we had people that decided they wanted to use those for firewood. In
I know.
addition to not being the healthiest thing in the world because it's pressure treated, it's also, town property. So
oh, I know, I get it.
I think just having heard the Venas and had some conversations with them, I understand their concerns, and what they voiced to us was trash was one piece. They also have people who sit on their property and have lunch, and so I understand that. I was looking at it from the standpoint, I think what we owe it to them to at least review is, giving them a list of what the pitfalls are, if this has to remain as a road that belongs to the town because of the things you've mentioned, Chris, and I think the history is really valuable, then it stays like that. What's the negative to potentially considering a swap? I don't have all the info, but at least doing some due diligence to review it and then give them a formal answer back. Because it's a lot of it's really outside of recreation. And they voice concerns about the trash, but I don't know that this is our scope to deal with.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'd be allowed to put a fence in there that would mitigate people going onto their property.
They kind of have one, but it goes down to like where as Mike was talking about, where the high water mark is. So
Yep.
it can't go further than that.
I think there was a whole bunch of signage that was in there, and then Hurricane Sandy came, and I think the signage is back in the backside of the pond now,
Okay.
all washed out. But I mean, again, my concern really is that it's a public space, has been used for years by members of the town, and it is a pretty cool area for recreation, and it's part of. It's not a huge beach down there, and that's like I think that back road is kind of special, and this is another one, So I think just figuring out how to control the garbage and behavior is something that we have to consider.
Okay.
Mhm.
Part of that's closing the beach at a certain hour because most of that stuff that's going on is people who are fishing down there all night.
Yep.
All right.
Right. Any other comments just on this particular topic before we kind of move on?
So Rick, you'll be taking the boulders and taking them away then, as far as that side roadway where behind the windsurfing area, that roadway where they put the picnic tables in? You'll be
Yes.
leaving those out then, right?
Yes, based on what you're saying, Chris,
Okay.
certainly we're gonna leave those out. And if you want, we'll take out the ones from the old boat ramp area near Wilcox.
So I would like to probably have a conversation with the Venus before we do it. I don't want to do it and just surprise them. It was kind of an agreement we had with them last year that we would do that to help mitigate some of that. But I didn't realize how much use that actually did get until Chris actually, I don't frequent that area a lot. I've been down there.
Mhm.
I do know it had been used, but I will say that when Rick and I went down and looked at it, it was pretty well trashed. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna leave it open, it's got to be monitored, and we're gonna have to do something with it.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's the negative. Again, the positive is people in the town using it, hopefully constructively and using it for recreation.
Well, and I think our beaches will be used as much, if not more, this year, so we will need the
There's
park.
no doubt. We're going to need the space. That's the other thing I'm thinking is we will need the space. We're going to be fogland. I've heard it from a number of people who are not from this area. This is a spot people are going to be coming down to a lot. So we're going to have some heavy traffic coming here.
So I know Little Compton's limiting their beach again.
They are, yeah. They're limiting, and the number of other beaches around the area, are getting a lot more restrictive. So, we have to be careful of that we don't get overwhelmed.
Right. Okay.
And also, I thank Chris also for the information, because what DPW had been told in the past was that other boat ramp had not been used. And now I understand from what Chris is saying that they do launch small areas, small skiffs or, maybe kayaks, etc. from that area. Because what DPW had been told is that boat ramp was not in use. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So we still consider it beach property, though, so that
Yes.
I don't want to hear that from the gatekeepers that, I can go down there because it's a ramp and I don't have to pay to get on it. They have to pay.
No, they got to pay. Yes,
They
they're
gotta
going
pay
on.
anywhere on that beach area, they're paying.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Right. Any other comments before we dive into beach staff?
Nope.
All right. 7D, status of beach staff hiring. Bob, you've been the man with the plan. Can I give you the mic for this one?
Well, the applications you gave me, I contacted everyone. I spoke to 8 out of the 11, and hired the 8 out of the 11. The other one you gave me, I believe today, or you emailed me either today or yesterday. I contacted that person and also hired him. The problem we're having is lifeguards. Right now, I think I got 10 gate attendants. I'd like 12 would be a real nice number we could work with. But right now we got 10.
So I think I had one come in today,
We
Bob.
don't have any. I'm sorry.
I think we had one come in today.
Another one today.
Yep.
Okay. You can get it to.
I gave it to Mary Lou.
Or get it directly to me, whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'll talk to Mary Lou tomorrow.
We need to get lifeguards. Now, some of the people that I called, when I spoke to them, I asked them if they would be interested in becoming lifeguards. I got 4 positive, 4 people who said yes, they would. And I guess from talking to Stu, I guess Chris came up with the a solution where the town would pay 100% of them getting a certification once they graduated and got the certificate and passed. Is that correct, Chris?
I will, if that's what it's gonna take, because we can't operate the beaches without lifeguards.
Okay.
That's what it's gonna take to get them, then that's what we're gonna have to do.
Is that provided that they give us the full season?
Yeah. We're not gonna certify them and have them go work
Right.
over in Newport or Third Beach. I mean,
Right.
they get certified, we're paying, they're staying for us all summer.
So what if the pay is at the end of the season?
Well, see, the problem is too, when, we've only got 3 weeks before the beach opens. We only have right now 1 potential lifeguard, and she hasn't called. I've called her 3 times and haven't got a call back. So right now, I'm going to say we don't have any lifeguards.
So
I
do
know
we have the
tomorrow
name for the
morning
ones
I have a meeting with the trust. I got that set up, Stu. I'm all set with that. I got a meeting tomorrow with the trust. And I'll see if we can get any help from them.
So do we have the names of the people we had last year?
I'm sorry?
Do we have the names and phone numbers of the last year lifeguards?
No. From last year's?
Yeah.
No. Stu, did you get that when the paperwork was handed over?
It was not in the paperwork that I received. It should be on file potentially with the town because they were employees.
So
but-
we can ask the treasurer's office for last year's lifeguard information to see if they're interested.
Okay.
Even if we have to, increase the rate, because I don't know what we were paying them.
Yep. I mean, if that's something that, is that something I can do tomorrow morning? Call the
Yeah.
treasurer's office and ask her to,
Yep, call
To get
Jen in
the
the treasurer's office to find out if we get the information for the people we paid as lifeguards last year.
okay. I don't mind contacting them. And I mean, I think we paid $14 an hour last year for lifeguards. Is that correct?
I don't know what the rate was, but we paid them whatever the prevailing rate was, so I don't know what the rate is this year that other beaches are paying their lifeguards, but that's what we should be paying.
I mean, Denise would know, right? The treasurer would know.
Well, Denise isn't in, but her staff would know.
I say, I mean, I don't mind contacting all the lifeguards we had last year and asking if they'd come back. And if they say no, just find out what's going on, why.
Okay.
I mean, what's the problem? What's but I don't mind doing that. I mean,
Okay.
we have to get these beaches up and we need a lifeguards and we have to get these beaches up and running.
Yeah, so at our last meeting, we talked about this being a potential issue. I think we're encountering across the board some of the same issues that other people are running into. Obviously, our demographic's a little bit younger, but I'll tell you, like when we get into the summer camp application, we don't have any applicants. Like we don't have any applicants really for summer camp. And I don't think it's from lack of putting it out. We went through the schools and had that circulated both to the teachers and to the students. There's not anything coming through yet. And I think the numbers are for gate attendants are probably a little bit lower than they've been in the past. Has anybody when we talked about it from last time to this one, has there been any movement, any leave? Does anybody have any feedback on, where they might be able to help us source some of these people? Just because we're kind of hitting a wall. I think we've blasted through a lot of different channels. Would like to just see if there's any other stuff that we can do, because even if we look at modifying like with summer camp, we're not getting anybody in really. I have one potentially good applicant as a director that I have connected with, but camp counselors, more lifeguards, let's get creative.
Did anybody that applied as gate attendant? Well, I shouldn't ask. I know. Like my daughter specifically, when she applied, she put down gate attendant and camp counselor on her form. Were there other kids who did that too, maybe? And they just got pushed into the gate attendant pile?
Bob's got the form, so I definitely.
Stu, I would just wanted to chime in.
Either or. Everybody else put down strictly gate attendants on the application that I have.
Dan, go ahead.
Yes, I didn't get much back. I didn't get anything back when I was looking at some of our younger teachers across New Bedford schools and the larger schools like high school, middle school. But I want to tap into the the older high school students, the juniors and seniors, but it's a little more complicated. I didn't know it needed school committee approval, but it does. So I'm working on that, and by the next meeting, which is in only a couple weeks, I should be able to tap into the high school, which is a large school of almost 3,000 kids. So that would be a good avenue, but I'm just about 2 weeks out from that to utilize that lever.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we're going to have to monitor. We may have to have another meeting between now and our next scheduled meeting to revisit it again. I can't express enough the urgency of the situation that we are in. And again, I think some of it's related to the environment. Dan, go ahead.
How about like any school that has like a child care program like BCC? They have like early education, or maybe the vocational schools. In our area, there's a Diamond. New Bedford has New Bedford Voc, and then East Bay.
Watch out, Rogers
whatever
High
the name of
School.
it is in Newport.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the campus right now at Roger Williams, just because it's where my office is. So I can say that I posted some stuff up there and did pass to a few people I know. Other areas, I'm happy to send it out. If people have contacts, digging and finding the right person is kind of a challenge sometimes, but and I also think there is some when you get into educational institutions, like kind of like what Dan is talking about, you run into a little bit of a challenge of trying to push things out. So you can post them on their campuses, but they're not usually inclined to circulate things for you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Does anybody know Jim Farrell who manages the Little Compton Beach?
Yep, I called him last week and we talked, and I asked if he knew of any available lifeguards, and he said he would kind of kick tires and send people our direction. I had reached out to the Newport Ymca because we have a personal contact, just a family friend there. Little Compton said that they were pretty well set because they just seem to have the same people coming back year over year. But he said he wasn't aware of anybody else at this particular time.
Okay. That's kind of why I would contact our old ones, because they usually do come back year after year.
Right.
We should just offer to pay him.
Well, that's fine. I don't have an issue paying them. It is what it is.
Well, I will check with the Equipment Club, formerly the Carnegie Alley. They have 4 lifeguards there on duty every day till I think 7 o'clock during the summer. So I'll see if there's anyone there that I don't know if they know of anyone, or who knows, I could get them on the weekends or whatever. You never know.
So here's what I'm going to suggest that we do. I'd like to put a meeting on the calendar in 2 weeks. And what I'd like to do between now and then is encourage everybody to go through at least 3 different channels that they have to try and recruit. So if you need the materials to send out, if you need the applications, the job description, Bob has them. Bob has done a great job of taking point on the beaches. The summer camp, they've sort of been coming to me, the one that I have so far. They do need to go through the personnel board, but I also think the personnel board in the last couple of weeks has been really responsive as things have gone through. So what I would ask is, would everybody be open to having just sort of a check-in meeting in about 2 weeks?
Yep.
And,
Sounds good.
Can you also reach out to Sarah to see if she has a list of people who may have had an interest but never got, that might want to be? And I'm sure Sarah would give you whatever information she has.
Yeah, I have the password to her email, just the town one, and I went through and looked at that as well, going back to the end of the summer, and there really wasn't anybody that we have applications for was already accounted for in that. So, but I will check in with her as well.
Right.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions, feedback? We need people. I'm going to ask, so has this been like the case? Have we had this kind of difficulty getting people? I feel like this is probably larger than usual, but has it always been kind of a struggle to find people to get?
I mean, traditionally, again, we had a lot of the same people came back, and we just had that one year where the beach manager had some issues, and then we lost the crew kind of thing, because I think they recruit each other, and definitely like a little club. My son did it for 2 years. He did 2 summers over there. Had a nice commute from the house down there.
Bob, you've mentioned in the passing connecting with like the senior center and also sort of tapping into retired community. Have we had any luck doing that? I know you and Joe were talking about it.
Sorry, Stu, say that again. I can just about hear you.
So in past meetings, you and Joe have talked about trying to connect with potentially folks from like the senior center or retired individuals who might have an interest in being gate attendants.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any luck sort of poking that bear?
Well, I wanted to, number one, I wanted to get through this meeting tonight. I don't like to do anything without getting permission just to go out and do it. I want to, get permission and stuff like that. I can call Chris. Are they allowing groups to use the senior citizen center yet? Do you know?
Don't believe she is, but you might be able to use the library.
The library? Okay, yeah, that big room in the library. Okay. Because I mean, we have to set up some type of orientation. There's a lot of paperwork that these kids have to fill out. They have to
Okay.
the forms and the forms from the school, give them permission to work. There are 2 forms. There's a lot of stuff that's got to be done between now and when we hopefully open up on Memorial Day. I'd like to suggest that we have another recreation meeting after the town council meeting, next town council meeting, which would be 2 weeks from today. Because I believe there's some stuff coming up on the agenda from the town council meeting that has to pertain to the beaches, or Recreation Commission. So I'd like to suggest that we have a meeting 2 weeks from today. But in the meantime, I'll get a hold of the library tomorrow. Get a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I'll get a hold of the library tomorrow. Just don't let my boss know I'm doing all this stuff. And see if I can see if we can get that big conference room. There's probably 10 to 12 potential employees, and just a few of us from the say maybe 15 people at the most.
Okay.
Even if they think that's too much, maybe we can do half and half.
No, that big room will handle it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bob, you'll want to talk to Catherine. I know when we talked about holding Library Foundation meetings there, there was some concern based on attendance numbers, although if it's not a formal meeting and it's a limited and confined number, she may be more amenable to it, but I don't want to speak for her. We did, I think, what you were sort of in between, talk about having a check-in meeting in about 2 weeks. So I share your view on this, and we'll put something on the calendar, even just as a discussion for where we're at. So let's make this happen. Good. During that meeting, when we get to that one, let's revisit it specifically with summer camp, because our summer camp, I'm concerned, really concerned right at the moment. I think we've got the facility, we've got everything, the ability to do it. I actually have all the recreation stuff in my garage, which my wife loves, as you can imagine, but have gone through it. And thank you to Dana for helping me put together kind of a list of the things that we needed to add into it. So like first aid kits and such. But I would really love to see a way we can make this happen. There were a lot of kids that missed out. We do thankfully have good other leagues in town. So, the kids are participating in things, and huge shout out to Little League, soccer, field hockey, all of them. They're great.
So have we contacted like the PTO at the high school to see if any of those kids are interested, that the parents can actually reach out to the kids?
Does the high school have a PTO?
I believe they do. Or boosters? Is it a boosters?
It's boosters.
Yeah. They have different groups, boosters, and, based on the involved activities generally.
Yeah, like tempo.
I would think a lot of parents are looking for something for their kids to do this summer. So giving them a job is not a bad thing.
Right.
I mean, I did send early on some of the information. It may have been mostly around lifeguards to the principal there. I don't know if we had any, hits off of it, but.
I saw something on Facebook, I think it was either yesterday or today, and it was the application not the application, the advertisement that Stu had put together. And it just came out on the Tiverton Public Schools Facebook page.
Wow.
So they should be aware of it.
All right, well,
not the kids, the parents.
No, yeah, because the kids aren't on Facebook. Well, we'll read in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, as stuff comes in, please make sure it's going through the personnel board, but also let us know. Specifically with beaches, let Bob know so he's aware of it. We can just at least have a dialogue with him early on so we know it's there. All right, so we've got 2 more items that were on the agenda. Before we jump to those, any other comments or questions on D or E? All right, so item F was one that we added to the agenda for discussion only, and it was listed as, I believe, Fogland Beach boat ramp issues. Chris, is that the right one?
Yep. So two items there, and Chris Cotty mentioned some of the oyster traps and marine debris that's over there. I actually spoke to the oyster man who runs his boat out of there. He said he would clean that up. I didn't warn him. I just said, if you don't get it cleaned up, there's going to be more complaints, and then it could be an issue. So I think that hopefully will.
Does he live down there? Does he live down in that area? Or?
He lives in Little Compton, but he's been fishing these traps. He's got a lease off the shore here, and he's got a Tiverton mooring, and he's been doing this for probably 20 years. But it's just sort of built up the last few years. He had a couple storms. He just got to clean it up. Got to put it in his truck and take it home.
Yep.
That's all. You know. And then there's other stuff that's washed up, and now what's happening is everyone's piling everything over there. So when he's done, you know, we may have to go down there and clean up some garbage, but I think 90% of it will be gone. And then the other issue is it's sort of a makeshift parking lot right next to the boat ramp, which I think works. A lot of people park there when they're going out to their moorings, which is fine. But as we know, busy weekend days, which are coming up, last year there was anywhere between 10 and 12 cars. Just everybody just pulled in there instead of going and paying at the beach. And then you do have people that want to use the boat ramp, and they can't really use the boat ramp because all these other cars in there. Number one, the people aren't paying. And then the other thing is, you know, should that even be a parking lot? So a couple of things we could do. Number one is put a sign up that says, you know, boat ramp parking only, or Tiverton mooring owners only, you know, because there's about 12 boats out there and they're all Tiverton residents. So that either one of those would be good, because where the DPW did put the no parking signs, they're a little away from the boat ramp area, so people are still parking there. The worst case would be, you know, just put boulders over it and block it so nobody can park there, because you used to never be parking there. It used to be boulders there years ago, and then I don't know what, sometime one of the storms, something like that, they moved, and then now it's become, you know, really just a parking lot.
So we probably use them to block off the other roads.
Yeah, well, the other thing is if you don't use it as a parking lot for the boat ramp, then you would have trailers coming into the foglands, and then you have to deal with that. So I think if you said, you know, fogland mooring or boat trailer parking only, others will be towed, you'll be okay.
So, Stu, have we had the stickers made yet for the beach passes?
Yep,
So
they're-
do we have a second runner-up sticker? Because I'm thinking maybe the Harbor Commission could have some stickers made for mooring holders.
Sure.
That'd be a great idea.
Just, you know, and for those that they know that have moorings in that area that could
Right.
park there. So it doesn't get them on the beach, but it might be able to get them so that as it gets monitored, as the police go by, if there's a sticker that's appropriate, otherwise they get tagged.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could very easily put one of those together for them, of whatever size they want. You could do it as a different shape or the same one, and I think any opportunity to keep using more of the art from local kids. Cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, you know, I'm just trying to think outside the box to, you know, to make it so that that's a very good suggestion about letting people who have moorings park there. And it should just be a sign that says permit parking only.
Right.
The ramp can be used, but it's, you know, it's only permit parking.
Yeah, and like I said, the only stipulation there, just to be aware of, is if you do have a lot of guys with jet skis, they're gonna have to pull in, but then they should probably pay for the beach parking, right?
Right.
When you come in.
Yep.
Because that boat ramp is in really, really bad shape. Anybody who can use it, you know, one of the neighbors goes down there with a sawzall, cuts his all rebar sticking out, and he cuts it off like once a month. So I don't know.
So is that ours, or do we know if it's DEM's?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
It hasn't been maintained though since I've lived here, so it's going back 25 years. Nobody's done anything to it. It just sits there.
Okay.
Can we find out, like with some of the stuff that CRMC is doing as well, is it worth us kind of just asking about who owns that piece of property and if we need to?
Yes, yeah, I can do that with the guys I work with, CRMC, and then the Save the Bay guys, because there's a lot of good stuff that they're coming up with. Really, they're getting donations to do all the studies down there in terms of stormwater and you know, beach erosion and stuff like that. I know Bob's talking about the beach house. They have some ideas for that, for the bathhouse.
Okay.
So I do think we should do something like that before the season starts, though, because last year it got to be, you know, it was kind of crazy on the weekends, you know, which is people jamming in there. And then somebody's using the boat ramp and kids are running across. Who knows?
So I'm sure we can have a sign made, Rick, that says boat ramp permit parking only.
And yet we can certainly do that, of course. And DPW has no position on the parking or no parking there. The one thing that I would say though is last year the point came up about the various moorings that are issued in the town, down at Fogland and the various areas, and also up in the basin, etc. So And that point was that the parking spots did not come with the mooring. So I only mentioned that so that if somebody says, well, I didn't get one and I have a mooring in the basin, why do the people at Fogland get one? Again, I stress DPW has no position on this. We will put up whatever sign anybody wants at Town Hall, Chris Carter says to do. I only say that so somebody doesn't say, I wish you had told me that if any arguments come up later on.
So Dana, make sure in the minutes you say Rick Rogers feels strongly about mooring holders.
Thank you, Stu.
You're welcome. All right, so why don't we do this? I like your idea, Chris, about potentially doing another sticker for the Harbor Commission. Sounds like we need to talk to them about it.
Yep.
Yep.
Chris Bromlin, can I connect with you offline and like let's put together something that we can
Yep.
connect them on
Sure.
and come up with
Sounds
something?
good.
Awesome.
Okay, what else we got?
All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch base on that item, Chris?
No, that was it. Those are the two items.
Okay, cool. All right. Ed, you had 7G, Fogland bathrooms.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Fogland, the bathrooms, you wanted to touch base?
Yes. I mean, yeah, I know they say if it's not broke, don't fix it, but if we're not going to use them ever again, are we ever going to use them again? Big question. Are we? I know they're antiquated, but so does people's houses when they were built in 1952. You have to update them. I'm not saying we update them today, tomorrow, but what are we going to do with them? We can't let them rot.
So are they
So the work-
functional? Are they functional today?
I believe so, Chris.
It's just maintenance, right? Cleaning and maintenance is the concern, right?
Well, we've got cleaning and maintenance with the hopefully gate attendants this year versus last year, but this year, toilet tissue, hand towels, you got to make sure neatness and stuff like that. I mean, that goes with any type of facility that you provide for the public.
Okay.
So,
And then,
I don't
we have to
know.
look
I
at,
just-
and then we have to, deal with the hours again. Because I think hours, of operation was one of the bigger concerns, right? Leaving the bathrooms open or not.
Well, during the beach hours, you leave them open like we do. We leave Grinnell's, we close them.
Right.
And then if you're going to have this, I mean, what do we pay per, I don't know what it is, per month, per week, every other week? I mean, during the summer, they're pumping out those porta johns every 2 days, maybe 3 days on the busy season.
I've definitely seen us spend hundreds and hundreds on the porta johns. I could go back over some of our, prior recreation reports, but certainly there's quite a bit spent on the
So,
porta johns.
I mean, with all the technology we have today, I mean, those toilets they're quite old. They have these new Echo toilet. I mean, it's a flush. It's like, I mean, it'll suck a baby doll down. You know what I mean? It's like, boom, gone. And I don't know. It lessens the amount of water, but yet, you know what I mean? I don't know. If we're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these porta johns, which I think are utterly gross.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I know that last year we used a lot of porta johns because we did not want to deal with the whole COVID cleaning issues.
Right.
So, but beyond that, let's say we don't have that issue this summer. We closed the beach. We closed the restrooms. There's nothing for people to use at night. And we do have a lot of people go there at night.
Right.
So, so the porta john issue isn't going to go away. We have to
No.
provide something down there for people to use if they're going to continue to enjoy the beaches after our lifeguards have gone home. And it's, I don't want to take that away. I don't think that we can have nothing there.
Can it be a hybrid, Chris? So, and again, I'm not familiar enough with what the use case on it is. I know last year it was all porta johns, but could we do something that essentially you have a porta potty down there, but it is only for, after hours use?
I don't know if you can monitor that, but I would still put two porta johns down there, one handicap, one regular. I would open up the beaches, the bathrooms this year, as long as they're functional and they work fine, as long as the staff is gonna clean them and make sure there's enough toilet paper and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's, it has to be functional, but it can only be opened while they're there. It has to be locked up when they go home because they'll just get destroyed otherwise.
You could lock up the regular bathrooms and then keep the porta johns locked during the bulk of the day and unlock them for the early evening.
That's kind of what I was thinking. If the gate attendants have the key,
Because we're gonna leave them right near the other ones anyhow. People, if the other ones are open, they're gonna be more apt to use the building than they will be the porta john.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows porta johns are not the most desirable place to be, but they are functional when you need them.
I agree. I believe we do need to have something for the overnight because the lady that was volunteering doing her community services, cleaning the beaches several times, and Rick, actually I spoke to Rick about this. He's mentioned that it happens more times than he cares to recount, that somebody's using whatever's there. If there's nothing open, you'll just go out in public and leave the mess for somebody else to clean up. Unfortunately.
Right.
I've seen that happen to that property way down the end, the private property where people have actually been fishing and gone there. I mean, the owner's taken myself and Joe and Sarah last year and showed us a couple of spots where there was.
Well, the girl that was doing the beach cleaning, it happened to her twice and it was right near the building.
So Rick, can we check these toilets to make sure they're functional?
The rest is.
Hold on 1 second. Chris, can you say that again?
I just asked Rick, can he check those toilets to make sure they're functional? If they need to be replaced, if, whatever needs to be done to bring that bathhouse up to snuff, it needs to be done. I know that they weren't used, but I also don't know what condition they're in. So it may be,
yes.
do we need to paint the place? Do we need to clean it up a little bit? I don't know what the inside looks like, so.
Hey,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes, Chris, we'll
have a key to that guard shack at Fogland. You only first come in. Do you have a key to that?
Yes, I do. I do, Bob.
No, the reason why I got one also, but the reason why I'm asking is, when we were doing the benches, the picnic tables, I went in there, and there's still trash in there from last season, and it doesn't really smell too nice in there. So I just wonder if DPW had a key. Maybe they could go in there and remove the trash that's in there, and maybe Saturday or something, I can go down there with a little spray or something and put some ice on something or some air.
Well, let's start with this. So it sounds like we need to kind of clean it for one, and two, take stock of what condition it's in. So if we can do both of those, and then Rick, if you can connect back with the Recreation Commission. I think one of the things to look at is can we get through the season, and is there something we need to look at as a longer term sort of capital improvement to consider, right? So I've never been in there, I have no idea, but I'd appreciate your judgment on it, and let's at least throw a couple of air fresheners in there and get it clean while we're at it. So.
Yeah, I'd like to mention too, bigger picture with Fogland, with some of the stuff that's with the coastal waters. They're talking about global waters getting higher, and there's some funding going on, and it looks like right now we're up for the stormwater abatement, which is at the beginning of Fogland. There's some drainage there, and I think that's going to go through to get the funding to do that. And then they've also made proposals for the beach house, what it could be. So it is kind of important to have the structure there, because if you lose it, then to actually try to recreate it is not as easy. Once you have it, there's something you can do to do improvements, whether it's raising it or changing it. And then there's funding for doing abatement to save it.
So something that would be really interesting to do, and I think we'd probably want to do it in conjunction with maybe some of the other town committees, is having later on post summer, a bit of a brainstorming session on what do we potentially see opportunities being in that space. And I think what you're mentioning, Chris, fits right in with that.
Yeah.
I don't think we necessarily have to have it be an outcome, but I, from a rec standpoint, something I'd love to see us do in the future more is open up opportunities where we actively ask the public for feedback. Again, I know like economic development is doing some of this too, but Mike, I know that's very much in your wheelhouse.
That's actually coming faster than you think. Open Space has actually been inquiring about doing a resiliency project. Little Compton just went through that themselves. And Fogland Beach would be ideal for it, to make sure that it's preserved and functional as the years come, as it would bring recreation, public works, open space, conservation, all these groups together to ensure that we have a focal point as to where our priorities are. And we would work with the infrastructure bank to try to figure out what kind of funding mechanism we might need to do something to preserve our shorelines.
Yeah, and I was actually supposed to be on a introductory call, I guess I would call it, with Michelle McGaw and Rep McGaw and two counselors from Little Compton tonight, just to get a sense from her around that, because Portsmouth's also working on it. And but she got caught up in the IGT hearing, so couldn't do that.
Well, it's cool to hear that it's happening. It's also cool that you don't have to lead it. So,
yeah, the open space guys that have been really good. They've been in all the meetings and going through that. So it's, yeah.
So I'm working with Brian James to get that off the ground. So we will set something up with you.
Good deal.
And the if I may still, so this is Rick at DPW. So yes, boss, we will check out the Fogland bathhouse and make sure it's functioning, clean, and painted, etc. if it needs it. And two, Bob, we're going to check to see if we have a guardhouse key. And three, because it was mentioned about the porta johns, there is one planned for as requested. There's one planned to be placed near the guard shack for the attendants.
That's fine.
Hey, Rick, if you don't have a key, you can contact me and I can swing by and drop off my set of keys. I'm only home from work or something one night, and you can at least have a set of keys to get into that guardhouse.
So Rick, is there only one porta john being scheduled for Fogland Beach?
Well, actually, before today, there was going to be, I believe, 3 or 4, because I didn't know the bathhouses were going to be open. Last year we had 3, and we were going to add 1 near the guard shack, but we won't have to have 3 if the bathhouse is open. I would be inclined to have 1 near the bathhouse and then the 1 near the guard shack attendant booth.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to have one near the gate shack over there. So this way here, when the gate attendants have to go to the bathroom, they don't have to walk a half a mile. And especially if sometimes there's only one person on, and for them to have to walk all the way up to where the porta johns are, they're gone for a good 10, 15 minutes. If we could have one of those right alongside the gate, the cement house over there, I think that would be a big plus. And we also have some extra wood left over. And Joe and I were talking about maybe building a picnic table and putting a picnic table over there for the employees. So this way here, they have a place to sit and do the paperwork or whatever.
Is there any boulders
be a
there to
problem?
protect them?
That wouldn't be a problem,
Yes.
correct?
I'm just wondering if there are any boulders there to protect the kids from that guard shack, and if we put an outhouse there that.
Yes, Chris, we have boulders and large concrete, what I call hernia blocks.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Those are nice. You put those there, Rick. You've kept a lot of the people from going and doing burnouts in the mud. Nice placement.
Well, maybe we can have Rick put a couple of poles right there or something and make a picnic table like we have to rest the beach.
We had some barbed wire, maybe like trenches, maybe a moat. All right, cool. Well,
50 caliber too.
we'll put Bob there with more binoculars. It'll solve every problem in the world. Oh, God love you, Bob. All right, so Ed, does that address what your concern was?
Yeah, it does. I just, like I said, that building's there and we got to do something with it. And like Chris Carter said to Rick, go in there, do your due diligence. What do we need to do to make it right? And, and let's go forward this year.
Yep.
Well, we'll find out what kind of condition it's in and it'll,
Yep.
like using it. Right. Is there anything else that we need to discuss before we adjourn? All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll set a meeting for 2 weeks, probably at the same date and time. Dana?
I'm just saying, I think we need a motion before we end it, right?
No, yeah. But I just wanted to know, I'll set a meeting for 2 weeks just so we can check in a couple discussion topics. So can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion to adjourn this wonderful meeting.
All right. I have a motion from Ed and Dana. I saw your hand go up as a second. Everybody else? All in favor? Thank you. Councilor Berg, thank you for sitting through. Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody.